Hey everyone, welcome back. I'm Michael and we're going to be getting right back into some more Reddit stories. If you enjoy the video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Now, without further ado, let's begin. This story was posted by a user named No More Miniatures in the AITA subreddit. The post is titled, "I want my daughter to find a different hobby. My daughter Anne has been obsessed with building miniatures ever since she saw Hereditary a few months back. Since then, she has probably spent close to $500 on miniature sets from Amazon, Hobby Lobby, and Etsy. All of this money comes from her job at a local movie theater, so I can't exactly cut her off. I can't explain why, but something about it drives me up the fucking wall. Maybe it's because Toni Collette was so creepy. Maybe I just want to spend some quality time with my daughter instead of watching her waste her life in her bedroom. I hear my sister talk about dropping her daughter off at soccer practice or how her son's the lead in the school play, and then I think about how my daughter's upstairs building a tiny cottage with tweezers. She's never really shown interest in any hobbies before, so I thought I would be grateful that she's finally good at something, but mostly I'm just annoyed. Her grades are fine, her chores are always done, but nearly every second of her spare time is spent putting together miniatures. I try to ask her if she'd like to go for a walk with me or sign up for cheerleading, but she always says no. My husband thinks it's sweet and has started letting her put them around the house and in his office at work. Every day, I drink coffee next to a $60 miniature greenhouse and think about the last time I had a genuine conversation with my daughter that didn't revolve around the merits of craft glue versus hot glue. I know I'm probably the asshole, but would I be the asshole if I asked her to find another hobby that might help her in life, like something she could put on a resume? Update: I won't lie when I say that I immediately ignored the majority of you telling me I was the asshole. Or maybe ignored is the wrong word. I think I expected that from the get-go, so being told I peaked in high school and should get fucked along with all the plastic cheerleader wannabe stay-at-home moms rolled off my back. But there were a few of you who did make me think long and hard about my relationship with my daughter and what sort of model I was setting for her. There was one comment in particular that's been sort of lost to the flood. If you can find it, I'd really appreciate that. That mentioned my writing and how well it read, almost like a book. Maybe it's self-absorbed, but that's really what made me stop for a moment. I've had to sacrifice a lot to get my family where they are today. I won't get into details because I'm sure it would be boring and pretentious and might make you all feel like I'm just trying to garner sympathy after being such a bitch, but it did involve giving up my dreams to make sure there was food on the table. I gave myself some time and space to think and realized the problem stemmed from me, not her. I was bitter that everyone else seemed free to chase their passions when I had to work at things I hated for the things we needed. It seemed childish to me to be so selfish as to enjoy your free time when you could be making an effort for your family instead. That's neither here nor there, but it definitely wasn't my daughter's fault that I was so resentful. I like to think she was relatively unaware of my concerns with her hobbies. I never voiced my opinion one way or another and always drove her to Michael's, but I can say with certainty that our relationship has only improved in the last few months. I helped her build a miniature restaurant last Saturday, and I've got a fun little carnival on my nightstand as I type this. I can't regain the time I've lost, but I can make sure she doesn't have to live the life I'm currently living. User Express Lab said, "I'm happy she was able to self-reflect eventually. Most people are never able to. Still don't see why she can't follow her dreams now that they have extra money." User Slob Zombie said, "The mentality that our hobbies have to serve a purpose is heinous." User Dammit Gravity said, "So many parents assume their kids have to have the same kind of childhood they did and refuse to accept their kids for who they are. I'm glad OP got there in the end, but it's sad it took so long." This next story was made in the relationship advice subreddit by a throwaway account. The post is titled, "My dad disowned my sister and he is dying. How do I convince her to let him go?" Backstory: my family used to be really close, but that changed in 2003 when my dad discovered that my mom was having an affair with John, my dad's childhood best friend. He was basically like a brother to him and had even been my dad's best man at his wedding to my mom. My dad begged her to stay and work things out, but my mom ended up leaving him for John. They eventually divorced and my mom married John 5 months later. My twin sister Sarah was always the stereotypical daddy's girl. Dad spoiled her a bit more than the rest of us, and she was basically his shadow back then, which made it really surprising that Sarah chose to stay with our mom after the divorce. At the time, she and I were the only ones still living with our parents. We have 4 other brothers. I chose to stay with Dad, and Sarah chose to live with Mom. On weekends, she would come to stay with me and Dad. I occasionally went to Mom's house as well. To say that the divorce and my sister choosing Mom messed up my dad is an understatement. He tried to act like he was okay in front of us, but every single weekday for the year following the divorce, I could hear him cry himself to sleep. After the divorce, the relationship between Sarah and Dad didn't change much. He started to spoil her a bit more than usual and continued being the super dad, showing up at every parent-teacher conference, ballet recital, and soccer match, always doing his best to be the most present father possible. Things started to change when she suddenly changed her mind about med school. Our dad is a surgeon, and she had always said she wanted to follow in his footsteps, but Mom and John ended up pressuring her to change her career path and become a lawyer instead. Both Mom and John are lawyers. During her studies, John started mentoring her and they became really close. After she finished her education, he got her a job at his law firm. On to the issue, in 2017, Sarah got married. My dad was absolutely thrilled about her wedding. He gave Sarah a blank check for her dream wedding. To be fair, he did this for all of us. He really likes weddings, but in Sarah's case, he was especially excited because she's his only daughter. I always remember him talking about walking her down the aisle. At every wedding we went to, he'd tell her he couldn't wait for the day he'd walk his little girl down the aisle. One day before the wedding, Sarah dropped the bomb that Dad and John would be walking her down the aisle together. Well, Dad is one of the most non-confrontational people on this earth, and she expected him to just suck it up, but he didn't. They got into a huge fight, the first time I'd ever seen him get angry, and in the end, he didn't attend the wedding. John ended up walking Sarah down the aisle instead. The fallout was massive. After the wedding, Dad and his side of the family basically disowned her, and their relationship became non-existent. She tried to reach out several times afterward to make amends, but he simply didn't want to talk to or hear from her. We thought he might change his mind when she gave birth in 2018, but he still doesn't even want to meet her kids. Earlier this year, he was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer, and unfortunately, the treatment didn't work. He's terminal. Even now, he still doesn't want to see her again. And she doesn't understand that. I'm very close to my dad, and these last few weeks have been really difficult for me. How do I convince her to let him go? Update. A week after I posted the original story, my dad started getting worse. His health declined really fast. We lost him exactly 1 month ago. It wasn't pretty, I never thought it would be, but I didn't expect it to be that heartbreaking. He was in a lot of pain and had been through so much in those final months. As heartbreaking as it was for us, he deserved to rest. He was tired. In the end, he was lucid enough to say his goodbyes to me and my older brothers. Hearing what he said to me was one of the most painful yet beautiful moments of my life. His words meant a lot. I won't share exactly what he said because I believe it's too personal. He also said goodbye to my daughters. It was just like when I was a kid, he gave them a kiss on the forehead, told them to be good girls, and said that he loved them. It's something I'll never forget. It hurts so much knowing they're too young to understand what happened. They still ask about Grandpa, and every time I try to explain that he isn't coming back, they just don't understand. And how can I blame them? I'm only 27 and even I don't really get it. I was supposed to have a lot more years with my dad. It just doesn't seem fair at all. The worst part was my twin sister, Sarah. Dad died without speaking to her. I tried to talk to him about her, but he wasn't interested in seeing or speaking with her. She started getting more desperate, and then suddenly he died. It was expected, but she was in denial. His funeral was beautiful. A lot of people shared their stories about him, and it was really touching. Sarah saw Dad for the first time since the night before her wedding, and she barely recognized him. He was so thin. Dad had always been a bit overweight, the classic dad bod, but he'd lost a lot of weight from the cancer. She cried through the entire funeral. Mom and John tried to show up at the ceremony, but my uncles had to kick them out. Good riddance. Dad's will went about as expected. His side of the family came from old money, so he had quite a lot. He left some money and a few properties divided equally among all of his kids, including Sarah. He also left a trust fund, a lot of money for all of his grandkids, including Sarah's children, whom he never met. Honestly, that didn't surprise anyone. My dad never really cared much about money. He just wanted us to be comfortable and to make sure his grandkids had something to support them. The tricky part was the personal things. He left a long letter to each of us except Sarah. It was deeply personal. In my letter, he wrote about our story and my childhood. It was really beautiful. I must have read that letter 100 times, and I cried every single time. One of Dad's favorite hobbies was photography. He was quite an enthusiast, and his main subject was always our family. When he and Mom were together, he took photos of all of us, but after the divorce, it was mostly me and my siblings. Because of that, we have a lot of pictures from our childhood. He gave each of us a photo album, and behind each photo, he wrote something where it was taken and a few personal words. I was honestly very surprised by this. He must have done it long before he passed. It was such a thoughtful goodbye gift and so perfectly Dad. Sarah didn't get a letter, and her album didn't have anything written behind her photos. When she found out, she had a complete breakdown. The regret was eating her alive, and still is. She was admitted to the hospital and spent an entire week there. She's doing a bit better now, improving little by little every day. Her husband and I are very hopeful about her recovery. She's sleeping and eating almost normally again, though she still starts crying randomly multiple times a day. But it's getting better, or at least that's what I keep telling myself, which brings us to last week. My wife and I discovered that we're expecting again. It wasn't planned or anything like that. She switched birth controls last month and went about a week without taking the pill. It's still very early in her pregnancy, so we haven't told anyone yet. The thing is, I'm really angry. I'm angry that my future child won't get to meet Dad. I'm honestly fucking pissed. It just doesn't seem fair at all. I'm angry and I'm scared. My dad was supposed to guide me through this whole parenthood thing. He taught me so much when I had my daughters. I'm fucking terrified of doing this without him. I'm scared I won't be a good father like he was to me, because my kids deserve that. That's it, folks. This whole situation could have gone so much better. I replay the what if scenarios in my head every day, but unfortunately it doesn't change anything. It's honestly a bitter ending. It doesn't seem fair at all, but that's the thing about life. It's never really fair. I want to thank everyone who gave me advice and those who reached out and offered support in the chat. I was really lonely at that time. It meant a lot to me.